President Sara Duterte, you may now proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Zaldico. The Honorable Speaker, Congressman Romualdez, the former President and Senior Deputy Speaker, Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, Majority Floor Leader, Congressman Dalipe, our Honorable Sponsor, Congresswoman Maricar Zamora, and all the co-sponsors of the Department's Education budget, and of course, all the other equally honorable members of the House of Representatives. Assalamualaikum. Madayaw ug maayong buntag kaninyong tanan. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good morning to everyone. We thank you for sharing this day with us and for the opportunity of presenting the budget proposal of the Department of Education. With me are the budget DepEd's undersecretaries and assistant secretaries, and some of them are online because they are COVID positive, as well as our directors, both from the central office and the regions, who came with us in order to help in addressing questions or concerns relative to our department's proposed budget. What I will be presenting is the proposed budget allocation in accordance with the National Expenditure Program, which is much lower than what the Department of Education has requested. We have prepared an audiovisual presentation for everyone to appreciate. Thank you.
At this point, we now open the floor to questions. Yes,
we have additional notes for everyone.
yes,
If it's
please
okay. Yes. Opo. Sa tatlong buwan ko po sa loob ng Department of Education, meron po akong dalawang napansin na ginagawa ng ating bansa. Unang-una, nakakahon po tayo doon sa idea na lahat po ng learning ay nangyayari sa loob ng classrooms. Kaya po tayo nakatutok sa lagi po tayo nakatutok sa classroom shortage. Hinahabol natin ng hinahabol ang classroom shortage. At alam naman natin na every year din, hindi nabibigay ang ideal na budget para sa classrooms. So I likened the problem of the classroom shortage to a quicksand. At pangalawa po, ang napansin ko sa ginagawa ng ating bansa sa ating basic education is that hindi natin nire-recruit ang mga pinakamagaling na mga senior high school graduates to take up education in higher education. Yan po ang napansin ko sa ating Department of Education sa tatlong buwan ko po na nandiyan. Dapat po, we have to be innovative. Dahil po alam naman natin na hindi na natin masolve yung classroom shortage, tinitingnan po natin ang iba't ibang paraan na pwede nating gawin that learning continues for our learners outside of the classroom. Ang atin pong motto is that not all learning happens inside the classroom, which is true. I believe that everyone will agree with that. Lahat po tayo ay maraming natutunan, hindi sa loob ng classroom at hindi sa ating mga teachers, but sa ating life experiences as well. And then before we conclude our presentation, we would like to present to you our plans for the succeeding years of the administration of President Marcos, and that is to invest heavily in flexible learning options. Of course, we will still pursue the building of classrooms. Of course, we will still pursue the recruitment of the best of teachers, but we will innovate and look for other solutions, because yung problema po natin 10 years ago is problema pa rin natin hanggang ngayon. So dapat po we should think outside of the box already with regard to basic education. I described our classroom shortage as a situation of a quicksand, where due to meager budget given to classroom construction annually, we cannot even address the requirements due to enrollment increase and the shortage that keeps piling up year in and year out. Second, we would like to seek your support in our stand of the lifting of the provision for basic education and classroom building in MBM 138 series of 2021. This is the order for the Department of Education to build only classrooms in the 5th and 6th class municipalities, because as a former mayor, I believe even Davao City cannot address the classroom shortage in our city. So hindi po kaya yan, lalong-lalo na ng mga 1st to 4th class municipalities. And I would like to reiterate our full support to the BARMM concerned in financing their regular programs previously covered by the national government. We believe that the block grant given to BARM is not enough to fund its competing resources. Lastly, I sincerely thank the members of this committee for listening to our plan for next year and beyond. I know that the challenges we are facing are huge, and we need your support in our quest to think out of the box for our Filipino learners. May I humbly ask this committee for the endorsement of our proposed budget to the plenary for consideration. Thank you very much. Daghang salamat.
Salamat, Madam Secretary, sa inyong paliwanag ng inyong policy direction with respect to classroom shortages. And rest assured po, kasama niyo po ang Kongreso outside the box po. We can begin interpellation with the representative of Kabataan Party List, Representative Raoul Manuel. You're recognized.
Hello. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning sa mga opisyal ng Department of Education. Yung una kong mga tanong ay tungkol sa learning recovery. Paano na tayo uusad mula dun sa dinulot na learning poverty noong early years ng pandemya. Aware tayong lahat kung paano tila ba ay hindi talaga maayos na natuto yung ating mga kabataan habang sila ay nag-aral lang through modules or through online. Merong comprehensive rapid literacy assessment tsaka amplified numeracy assessment ang DepEd. Kaso, ito ay kinakonduct online. Ang tanong natin sa DepEd, paano natin matitiyak na yung assessment tool natin ay accessible dun sa ating mga kabataan to gauge how they really learned?
Yes, we would like to call on our USEC for the curriculum and instruction strand, USEC Gaviola.
Madam Chair, allow me to interrupt. Since my question was specific, it was pertaining to how we assess the gaps in learning na naidulot ng distance learning na ginamit natin sa gitna ng pandemya. Ang tinutukoy ko ay yung CRLA o yung Comprehensive Rapid Literacy Assessment tsaka yung ANA o Amplified Numeracy Assessment. Ito ay kinonduct nationwide para matasan natin kung kumusta na ba talaga yung learning gaps. Kaso ito ay kinakonduct online. So alam na natin na through online classes, doon pa nga lang marami nang hindi nakapagpatuloy talaga sa pag-aaral o hindi natututo ng maayos. Pero yung assessment natin, online din natin pa ikakonduct. Yun yung tanong ko, Madam Chair. Okay. Still, Madam Chair, kahit nabanggit na pwede itong gawin electronically, nangangailangan pa rin yun ng gadget. At sa bansa natin ngayon, ang laki pa rin nung bilang ng mga kabataan natin na walang sariling gadget. Either naghihiraman sa pamilya, isa lang yung kanilang gadget. Actually nga, meron pang pending bills dito sa Kongreso na maganda yung intensyon, one student, one gadget, to prove na marami pa talaga yung kulang dun sa kanilang resources. Tapos kahit Madam Chair, 15 minutes lang yung test actually kasi kailangan niya mag-connect dun sa electronic system. We received reports na yung system na yon ay laging nagbabog down at confusing din yung interface, Madam Chair. Okay. Madam Chair, modesty aside, ang background ko po ay applied mathematics. And when we talk about sampling, kailangan nating maging maingat dun sa paano tayo nagsasample. Kasi with that, ang makakwalify lang dun sa ating sample ay mismo yung meron ng mga gadget. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin test, madadiagnose yung mga estudyante na hirap dun sa kanilang gadget na in the first place, sila na nga yung napag-iwanan dun sa ating shift to distance learning na kinailangang i-impose sa gitna ng pandemya. Sunod, Madam Chair, gusto ko nga matanong, pwede bang gawin na lang ito face-to-face? Kasi yung ating mga guro para makapag-proceed sila sa pagtuturo, kailangan din nilang mag-conduct ng mga remedial classes at para angkop yung kanilang remedial classes na ituturo, dapat na conduct nila nung maayos yung kanilang mga diagnostic tests. At ngayong nasa transition na rin naman tayo to full face-to-face classes, kaharap na si teacher, mas maiging face-to-face na at i-provide yung mga assessment tools para magawa ito ng maayos on a nationwide basis, Madam Chair. Aasahan natin yun, Madam Chair, given na since nagbukas tayo ngayon, sa school year na ito, for 3 weeks na, ay umaasa pa rin yung marami sa ating mga teachers na may ipoprovide na test forms yung Department of Education. Kani-kanyang gawa na lang sila muna ng mga diagnostic tests habang wala pa yung ganong nationally directed na pagtatasa dun sa learning gaps. Sunod na tanong, Madam Chair, tungkol naman sa phasing na ating review ng K-12 program. I believe na bago tayo sumulong dun sa pagtatalakay ng mga panukalang batas na gusto mag-introduce ng mga bagong subjects, ay matalakay muna natin kailan mangyayari na yung K-12 review. Okay. I still have 30 seconds, Madam Chair.
Well,
Okay, so I'll direct the question to the official in charge of
your last
finance.
question. We can have a short manifestation to close.
Okay, sige. I'll just leave this final question. Then, depende na lang po sa DepEd kung masasagot. In case there will be an amendment in the NEP to realign confidential funds and good governance programs to specific itemized programs in education, kagaya ng provision ng school supplies, will DepEd be willing and able to utilize such funds? Yun na lang, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat.
Salamat, Rep. Manuel. Madam Secretary.
Yes, opo. I'd like to add to the answer of Yusek Cabiola. We're actually done with the review. We are currently presenting it. We initially presented it to the MANCOM, EXECOM, and then we will present it to other sectors from the government and the private sector as well. And we are currently starting with the review on grades 11 to 12, and then it will go through the same process. It will go through presentations so that comments and suggestions from all the sectors can be collated by the Department of Education, and we come up with the new curriculum for the K-12 program. However, during our discussions, it will take 2 to 3 years for us to implement new curriculum for the K-12. And I am trying to push the curriculum and instruction strand to do it in 1 year, and we will update you on that if we will be able to implement a new curriculum in a year or 2. We're talking about academic school year. With regard to the confidential funds, there are so many issues, and you see it in the news with regard to our work in the Department of Education, the issues and challenges that we face in the Department of Education. Some of which very recently in the news are sexual grooming of our learners by their peers or their teachers. The recruitment to terrorism, active shooter copycats and active shooter issues and problems, recruitment in insurgency, recruitment of children in illegal criminal activities, the drug use of DepEd personnel and drug involvement of learners, the success of projects, activities, and programs depend upon very good surveillance and intelligence. Dahil hindi po ninyo matatarget kung sino ang isusolusyon ninyo kapag hindi po kayo nakagather ng credible intelligence and surveillance sa mga problema na gusto nating solusyonan sa loob ng Department of Education. And all this relate to our mandate that we deliver quality, basic education to our learners. And of course, education of our children relates to our national security as well. Thank you.
Next, interpolate from the minority, the chair recognizes Representative Arlene Brosas from the Gabriela Party List.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, my question is, yung 13.9 billion na inilaan sa pagpapatayo ng classrooms, no, inilalaan para sa pagpapatayo ng classrooms, ilan po ang maipapatayo nito, Madam Chair?
Yes, we'd like to call Yusek Ablan, Administration Strand.
Yes, Madam Chair. For the classroom allocation for 2023, we can allocate 2,300 classrooms po.
So, Madam Chair, base sa mga sinabi kanina, sa kalagayan ng classroom talaga natin, overcrowded, tapos karamihan dalawang klase sa isang classroom, ano exactly yung gagawin ng DepEd para dito? Kanina po sinabi yung flexible learning, etc. Ano exactly yung gagawin natin sa mga kulang yung classrooms?
Yusek Ablan. Madam Secretary.
Yes. Thank you. So right now, what we are doing is that we do shifting of classes, and some of our schools are on blended learning. So they shift from in-person classes to modular or online electronic classes. And for our future plan is the flexible learning options. So flexible learning options right now are FLO-ALS, that is the alternative learning system, the FLO-ADM, that is the alternative delivery modes of instructional or learning modalities, and the FLO-LRs. So the long-term plan is for flexible learning options, and the short-term plan is for shifting of classes and blended learning. Thank you.
Rep Rosas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, physical talaga yung kailangan ng mga estudyante, no, na structure sa ngayon, at yun talaga yung kulang. And Madam Chair, how about yung mga textbooks, instructional materials? May bagong delivery ba ng textbooks? And ilan po ang na-procure na armchairs and desks ng DepEd?
Right. Okay, Yusek Ablan of the curriculum and administration strand.
Yusek Ablan.
Right now, Madam Chair, we have procurement for SLMs and textbooks. For next year, we are also programming continuing SLMs and textbooks, Madam Chair.
Rep Rosas.
Madam Chair, my question about the procurement ng arms and chairs, desk ng DepEd para sa paghahanda sa face-to-face classes. Yun, Madam Chair, nag-a-average ang mga class size ng 40, 50, 60 tapos walang upuan. Madam Chair, dapat seryosohin natin ito, no? Bigyan natin ng atensyon yung tumitinding education crisis. Kailangan po tugunan ng gobyerno yung kakulangan sa pasilidad, yung classrooms, yung kagamitan, yung mga guro na lubos na naapektuhan dito sa kalidad ng edukasyon para po talagang makausad tayo, Madam Chair. And my question is, meron po kayong 150 million confidential fund sa DepEd. Para po saan ito? Kasi I believe yung Office of the Vice President, meron na siyang 500 million confidential fund na nakalagay. And ito, 150 million. And in the 2021 and 2022 wala pong ganito.
Yes, thank you. The Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education are two separate entities. They are two separate departments of the government, and they have separate mandates as well. As explained earlier, number one, the success of a project, activity, or program really depends upon very good intelligence and surveillance, because you want to target specific issues and challenges. And because these specific issues and challenges are all illegal, like say for example, as previously mentioned, sexual grooming of learners, recruitment in terrorism and violent extremism, drug use of DepEd personnel, these are not laid out for our regular personnel to see. That is why we need the help of the security cluster and the security sector to address these issues and challenges to basic education. And as I said, basic education has a direct link to the national security of our country. We are truly interested in the quality of education of our learners.
To our members,
Yes, Madam Chair.
sana po makinig tayo sa mga sagot to avoid repeating of questions. Rep. Rosas.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, kulang tayo sa classrooms, kulang tayo sa upuan, kulang tayo sa textbook learning. So, Madam Chair, tapos maglalagay tayo ng confidential funds. Hindi naman natin ma-account, Madam Chair. Sana man lang, Madam Chair, itong mga usapin na ito, no, mailagay na lang yung mga pondo sa mga dapat nilang kalagyan, Madam Chair. And my last question, Madam Chair, kasi ito is a VAUSI, no? We're talking about the violence against women and children sa mga paaralan. Mismong mga guro yung nambibiktima sa mga estudyante. Ano yung policy and guideline ng DepEd hinggil dito? At paano po ang implementation dito sa mga schools? Ano yung ginagawa ng DepEd sa mga child predators na nasa school administration? Alam niyo po kasi bahagi po ito ng pinasa nating batas, no, sa Safe Spaces Law. Mahalaga po, naririnig ko po yung sa sexual grooming kanina, no, pero ano exactly yung programa ng DepEd dito?
Madam Secretary,
Yes, thank you. We will call our USEC for field operation.
kindly wind up. Rep.
Pardon, Madam
Rosas.
Chair, tama pala, 26.72 million. Tama? So yun, tapos ngayon, meron po kayong request for
Yusek Sevilla.
Yes, Madam Chair. The request is also to maintain the 2022 26.7 million. However, in our deliberation in the Department of Budget and Management, we were asked to reprioritize. Ibig sabihin, ano ang gusto ninyo na maunang ma-restore? Syempre, nahuli po itong Child Protection Unit because we can use some of our MO irregular funds. Pero syempre kung ma-restore po siya sa 26.7 million, mas maganda po. But due to the prioritization or ranking of the program asked by the DBM, hindi po ito nasama sa mga prioritized programs.
Your time is up, Rep. Rosas.
Madam Chair, hihingi na lang ako ng mga programs, no? Kasi yun yung specific na tanong ko eh. Ano yung mga programs? Kung isa po ito sa CPU, sa budget, ano pa yung iba pa? Yun na lang, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Speaker, and chairman ko and colleagues. Madam Chair, the secretary had been a very, very good neighbor in the islands of Mindanao, and we saw how wonderful and how she brought the Davao City to greater heights. And the very recent elections, more than simple majority of the Filipinos, like 32 million or 61.53%, supported and trusted her. And as she became president, no less than the president, Marcos, gave her the opportunity and entrusted Department of Education, the future of this generation, in her hands. But very sad, very, very sad. The budget that they or she requested was way below the budget, especially for the construction of classrooms. And worse, they only gave her the opportunity to give it to the 5th and 6th class municipality. Characteristic culture of Filipinos says that when there is a developed city, municipality, or province, people tend to polarize because that's where they want to work. And when they work there, they bring their children with them. And that is the reason that even urban provinces and cities lacks classroom. Madam Chair, we expect a lot from the Vice President and from the Secretary, but we could not allow her to run Department of Education with one hand tied at her back. That's why, Madam Chair, nationalista party with the authority from Deputy Speaker Villar, Manong Budoy Madrona, Bong Barbers, and its members thoroughly supports the budget of Department of Education. More we will support if it will be added to. Thank you, Madam Chair, and mayong buntag.
Salamat. Salamat, Rep. Emano. Madam Secretary, do you wish to respond?
Yes. We would like to thank the Honorable Congressman Emano for the support to our basic education learners. Rest assured, sir, that we will try to do our best with what we have right now, and we will be innovative in finding solutions to the problems of basic education.
Salamat, Rep. Emano. Susunod po is from the minority. The chair recognizes Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro from the ACT Teacher Party List.
Thank you. Magandang umaga po sa ating mga sa ating pong lahat at kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Sa unang tanong, Madam Chair, ito po ay tanong po sa pamunuan, bagong pamunuan ng DepEd. Ano po yung ginagawa nila o may ginagawa ba sila o wala dito sa laptop corruption issue? Na ngayon ay alam natin dinidinig sa Senado, pero dito dahil meron din akong resolution, hindi pa rin. Pero tanong ko po sa bagong pamunuan, dahil hindi naman sila involved dito, are you conducting probe inquiry about this laptop corruption issue in the Department of Education?
Madam Secretary.
Yes, thank you. Number one, we wrote COA requesting for a fraud audit, and COA already responded to us with regard to their conduct of a fraud audit inside the Department of Education, particularly for the laptop project. And then number two, within the organization, I already ordered the Chief of Staff to open an inquiry whether some of the personnel in the Department of Education were acting in ultra vires with regard to the decision making of modifying the procurement that was done for the laptops. So these were the two actions inside the Department of Education. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can we ask the DepEd to furnish us the written report and about the action being done by the DepEd regarding to this issue, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. We will submit a copy of the report to the committee, copy furnished the office of the Honorable Castro.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice President. Madam Chair, kanina no ipinakita yung krisis natin sa edukasyon. Yung ating yung kung gaano kalala ang learning crisis na kinakaharap ng mga estudyante sa iba't ibang antas. Elementary hanggang high school, very low achievement levels in reading, mathematics, science, at nagpahayag naman ang DepEd ng kanilang mga commitment at target, di ba, na gagawin. Pero wala pa po ako nakikitang konkreto, Madam Chair, no, sa kanilang presentation. Pero ang tanong ko, Madam Chair, bakit sa kabila ng ganitong kalalang problema ng ating mga estudyante, ang priority legislative agenda pa rin ng DepEd ay ang mandatory ROTC. Ano naman ang kinalaman ng ROTC sa pagpapataas ng reading comprehension, mathematical ability, and science sa ating mga sa ating mga estudyante? Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary.
Yes, thank you. Because the problems on access, equity, quality, resiliency, and well-being and governance, these have already supportive legislation. Ang dami-dami na pong nagawang legislation, magagandang legislation for basic education. And ang nakikita na lang po namin na so far sa ngayon na kailangan ng legislation ay yung mga wala pa pong legislation. So right now we are working on all the laws that were passed by Congress na nagsusuporta sa basic education po. Thank you.
Madam Chair, so legislation ang sinasabi ng DepEd. So ano po yung gusto nyong legislation para mapataas natin yung reading comprehension ng mga bata at saka yung mathematics and science abilities? So kasi itong ROTC talagang priority pa rin naman ito ng Marcos administration. So bakit ROTC? Bakit hindi yung para to answer the problem ng learning crisis na binanggit natin?
Madam Secretary.
Yes, apo. Primarily, na-mention po natin doon sa ating presentation, if the Department of Education is given the budget that it is requesting, we will be able to open more programs to address the learning problems of our students. So, initially po, lumapit na kami sa Pangulo at sinabihan ko po ang Pangulo na if you give me 100 billion, I will solve all the problems of basic education. And that is what I want to reiterate as well to Congress and the House of Representatives. If you give us, the people here sitting in front of you, 100 billion, we will be able to solve the problem in 6 years. Thank you.
Sana, Madam Chair, makita natin yung concrete na mga solution ng DepEd. Pangatlo, Madam Chair, regarding naman ito sa mga teachers, alam natin bakit hindi tayo nakakapag-encourage ng mga magagaling na teachers sa senior high school na katulad ng binanggit ng DepEd dahil nga sa kababaan ng sweldo at saka yung mga benefits natin ay talagang hindi rin naman ganoon ka-enticing. Naniniwala po ba dito ang DepEd?
We would like to request our USEC for the BHROD to present the wages, benefits, and emoluments of our teachers. Thank you.
Yes, Rep. Castro.
I opened it already.
You can use the microphone of Rep. Manuel, Rep. Castro.
Madam Chair, gusto ko pong pasagutin ng ating Vice President and Secretary ng Education. Naniniwala po ba kayo na dapat taasan ang sweldo ng ating mga guro?
Yes, okay. So we will not present the existing salaries, wages, and benefits that we give to our teachers. But I will relate what the Secretary of Labor and Employment and the Secretary of the Department of Education discussed about the salaries of teachers. So I presented to him a comparison of the salaries between the private educational institutions and public schools. And clearly, we see there that there is a wide disparity between the salaries of teachers in private schools. And the Secretary of Labor and Employment is of the opinion that the market standard for salaries is the private sector. So in this case, if the government continues to give or increases in the salary of teachers in the government sector, this will put undue pressure in the private educational institution, thus creating a mass migration of teachers from the private schools to the public schools, which we actually see now. We have private schools na nawawalan ng teachers dahil lumilipat po sa Department of Education. And this will force more closures on private schools dahil ang market standard po dapat ay ang sweldo sa private schools and private education.
Madam Chair, narinig ko na yan sa mga past administration. Laging kino-compare ang sweldo ng mga teacher sa public, sa private. Pero nakalagay sa constitution natin, dapat i-compare yon sa cost of living, syempre yung consumer price index, etc. Actually, yung 25,000 pesos na sweldo ng mga teachers natin, Madam Chair, way below yan kahit na doon sa mga counterpart sa ibang mga bansa. 50 to 60,000 yung pinakamababang sweldo ng teachers sa sa ibang bansa. So sana mapag-isipan ng Department of Education kung paano mapapataas natin ang sweldo ng mga teachers so that maka-entice tayo na mas magagaling ng mga teachers na pumunta sa public school, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Castro. We really take note of your comments and we will endorse that to the Department of Budget and Management, which decides on the salaries of government employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. So, magkano po yung proposal ng DepEd sa medical allowance, sa teaching supplies allowance, at saka sa internet allowance? Dahil sinasabi natin ngayon, di ba, we think out of the box. So isa sa pwedeng madagdagan sana ay yung mga allowances ng teachers dahil sila na lagi yung nag-aabono eh. So kung we think out of the box, so magkakaroon pa rin ng blended learning. Narinig ko po sa DepEd, institutionalize yung blended learning, di po ba? So meron po bang proposal ang DepEd para taasan ng medical allowance? Kasi 500 yan sa kasalukuyan.
Can you wind up, Rep. Castro?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yung internet allowance ay 1,000. Yung teaching supplies allowance ay 3,500. So, meron po bang proposal para madagdagan itong mga allowances ng teachers po para dun sa tinitingnan natin na think of the box na mga method and strategies in teaching?
Yes,
Madam Secretary,
yes, we call Yusek Sevilla of the Finance Run.
Yusek Sevilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a national budget call issued by the Department of Budget and Management. This is an instruction to all government agencies kung hanggang saan lang po ang pwede nilang isubmit at i-propose. Kasama po ang personal services or mga pangsweldo, benefits, and allowances na hindi po allowed na mag-propose ang government agencies kasi ito po ay standardized or a policy that should be done by the Department of Budget and Management and the Civil Service Commission. So even po tayo ay mag-submit din doon, automatically tanggal po ito sa system ng DBM. Kasi ang cash allowance ay isa pong legal na benefit na ibinibigay sa ating mga teachers na under sa batas ng General Appropriations Act. So ito po ay isang power of the purse na pwede po mangyari dito sa Kongreso at sa Senado. Maraming salamat.
Last manifestation, Madam Chair. So kung magpapasa po ng batas ang Kongreso ng dagdag na medical allowance, teaching supplies, internet, susuportahan ba ito ng DepEd?
That was your last question,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, we support all the legislation that will help our teachers, and we request Congress as well that if there are legislations on this subject, to include the budget, the appropriation, nakalakip po doon sa benefit na ibibigay sa kanila. Thank you.
Salamat, Rep. Castro. And the last interpellate is from the majority. The chair recognizes Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank you very much, our beloved chair, Stella Kimbo, our speaker, Martin Romualdez, and of course to the DepEd family, headed by the second highest official of the land, the #1 official from Mindanao, the Honorable Mayor, now Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. First, let me remind everyone in this room that there is a mandate from the Constitution. The Constitution provides, Article 2, Declaration of Principles and State Policies, Section 17, the state shall give priority to education. Under Article 14 of the Constitution on Education, the state shall promote quality education in all levels, especially basic education. And with that, Madam Chair, we are going to therefore exercise the power of the purse. What was proposed by the Vice President for DepEd was exactly 86.4 billion for 2023. To be able for us to catch up with all the backlog in the construction of new classrooms and the repair of classrooms. And that is why 86.4, how much was given? Only 5.9 billion. Now, how can we able? I carry the voice of all the representatives present here. Zero. Cagayan de Oro is zero. And Cagayan de Oro, as stated by Governor Bambi Mano, Congressman now, is the center of Northern Mindanao and is burgeoning, according to our outstanding regional director, Art Bayokot. Here is the request for 2023. I am in touch with him. And that is why, how many classrooms? This will just really be going to the red, the one that is tag red, really requirements. Only 169 classroom, pero zero. Yan. So therefore, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the budget of the Department of Education headed by Vice President Inday Sara Duterte of 709.7 plus we all move that we restore the 86 billion to be able to us. There can be no way. We cannot be under the mango trees. We have to have the classrooms. That is the first requirement to have education, quality education to all levels. And that is why I move, Madam Chair, 86.4 billion. So minus 5.9, that is about 81 billion. Restore it so that all the congressmen with their request per district will also be accommodated because we need them. That is one. Secondly, we have only 1.5 billion for repairs, especially our friends in those that were hit by the different typhoons and earthquakes of our country. And that is why we only got 1.5 billion. It should be restored to the request of 7.6 billion for repairs. And that means that we have to return 6 billion. So therefore, only a total of 87 billion. With that, Madam Chair, we are able to make sure that we fight this out. Otherwise, if we are delayed, next year will be more delayed, 2024 up to 2028. And that is why I move for that, Madam Chair. Plus, the last motion is not inclusive of the motion to increase the budget using the power of the purse with our dear Speaker being present, who is going to make sure that Congress exercises the power of the purse. Mr. Chairman and Honorable Speaker, we have the other matter, Mr. Speaker, Chairman and Secretary, the shortage of teachers. Now we will have the classrooms, 87 billion. The problem is no teachers. That is why in Cagayan de Oro, under the standing leadership of Superintendent Sherry May Limbaco, we have number of teacher shortage 287, not much, but if you compute with all of us, there is a shortage in all districts, Mr. Speaker. And that is why I move that we restore the budget for additional teachers, not only 10,000 teachers. We have to put in what is needed for 2023. With that motion, Mr. Chairman, I therefore ask my colleagues, let us now unite together, have that force, the power of the pulse of the purse, and therefore move for the additional budget for the Department of Education. That is why my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Unanimous second the motion. Unanimous second the motion, Madam Speaker.
We heard you loud and clear, Representative Rodriguez. We take note of all of your motions and we shall consider them at the appropriate time, sir.
Madam Chair.
Madam
Yes.
Secretary.
Yes, Madam Chair, we would like to thank the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez for passionately expressing the sentiments of the Department of Education. Mahal ka po, sir, ng Department of Education.
Oh, now I yield the chair back to its rightful owner, Chairman Zaldico.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Chairman, as manifested earlier, with 3 members from the majority interpolating and with also 3 from the minority, together +1 from the independent minority, I now, Mr. Chairman, move to terminate the budget briefing of the Department of Education.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Move to adjourn. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Duly may I move the duly seconded by Representative Zamora and Albano. The motion is carried.
Mr. Chairman, move to suspend the budget hearing of the Committee on Appropriations.
The budget hearing is suspended.